Hi everyone, Edna Kimble, Edna Sells, Century 21 Wright Real Estate, and welcome to today's podcast. We are going to be discussing for sale by owner. Now, when you sell your home yourself, also known as for sale by owner or FSBO, FSBO in the real estate industry, it may seem like a great way to save thousands of dollars, right? After all, the standard real estate agent's commission is anywhere from 5 to 7%. That's about $12,000 to $17,000 on a $250,000 home. So, with that size of fee, you may think that acting as your own agent will surely be worth the savings. However, here are 8 reasons why you may want to reconsider. Number 1, realtors may not show your for sale by owner home. In a FSBO deal, the buyer's agent knows there won't be a professional colleague on the other side of the transaction. So basically, they're doing both sides. Even if a client insists upon seeing your home, the agent may discourage making an offer, citing the hassles and the risks of closing a deal without a professional representing the seller and without a guaranteed commission. Still, there are buyer's agents who will show your property under the right conditions. That may mean signing an agreement with the agent that states the percentage fee that you as the seller will pay the agent. The agent may specify 6% commission, trying to nab both the buyer and the seller side. Instead, negotiate the total commission to more reasonable 3 to 4%. Now, an agreement should also clarify that the agent is only working on behalf of the buyer. It may also state that as the buyer's agent, the real estate agent has a duty to disclose to the client all the information the seller provides to them, such as the need to sell and by what date. So if you want to be taken seriously by the buyer's agents, get the best price and make sure you don't miss any key steps in the process or risk a lawsuit. It's better to use a real estate agent than to try to sell the home yourself. Number 2, agents avoid emotional sales. That's right, selling your home is typically a very emotional process. Having a professional agent keeps you one step removed and makes you less likely to make mistakes, such as overpricing your home, refusing to counter a low offer because you're offended, or giving in too easily when you have a deadline for selling. A realtor can follow up without communicating a sense of eagerness or desperation. Following up is kind of our job. Now, if you forgo an agent, you'll also have to deal directly with rejection every time a buyer's agent tells you that the client isn't interested. As the homeowner, it can be quite upsetting hearing some of the comments that are made by the buyers and oftentimes even by their agents. An agent can take the sting out of the rejection and put a positive spin on any negative feedback. It is more difficult for the seller to keep their emotions out of the sale because there's no third party to bounce anything off of. And I think that one of the mistakes the seller makes is trying to talk the buyer into something. For instance, if the property sits on the market, the homeowner doesn't know the reason the home is not selling. They just know that they're not getting any offers. The emotions will always be there for the seller, but constructive criticism can be easier to digest for the seller when it comes from a broker who is on their side and trying to get the best deal for them. Number 3, real estate is a full-time job. Now, guys, if you are for sale by owner your home, can you rush home from work every time someone's to see your home? Can you excuse yourself from a meeting every time your phone rings with a potential buyer? At the end of a long workday, do you have the energy it takes to get the advantage on every possible opportunity to market your home? And are you an expert in marketing your home? Do you have any experience doing so? Your answer to these questions is probably no. And an agent's answer to all of these questions should be yes. In addition, by going through an agent, you'll get a lockbox for your front door that allows agents to show your home even when you aren't available. Number 4, agents access large networks. Yes, you can list your home yourself on Zillow, Craigslist, and sometimes even on the multi-list or the MLS. That's what agents use. But is that really enough? Even if you have a large personal and professional network, those people will likely have little interest in spreading the word that your home is for sale. You don't have relationships with clients, other agents, or the real estate agency to bring the largest pool of potential qualified buyers to your home. A smaller pool of potential buyers means less demand for your property, which can translate into waiting longer to sell your home and possibly not getting as much money as your home is actually worth. Number 5, and to me, one of the most important, weeding out unqualified buyers. An agent can find out whether someone who wants to view your home is actually really qualified or just a dreamer or just a nosy neighbor. That's right, it does happen. It's a lot of work and major interruption every time you have to put your life on hold, make the house look perfect, and then show up to show your home. You want to limit those hassles to the showings most likely to result in the sale. You want to limit those hassles to showings that will most likely result in a sale to your home. Realtors are trained to ask qualifying questions to determine the seriousness, qualification, and motivation of a prospect. Realtors are also trained to ask closing questions about how long buyers have been looking, whether they've seen other homes, and what their actual needs are. Also, are they paying cash? Have they been qualified? What schools they're looking for, and so on. They will also ask for documentation to back up the information so they can move a qualified and motivated person to the point of purchase. It's also really awkward for buyers to have the seller present rather than the seller's agent when they're touring a home. When showing a home, the owner should never be present. Nothing makes a potential buyer more uncomfortable than the current owner being in the home. When a seller is present, most buyers will rush through a home, won't notice some of the details, or remember much about what they actually saw. Number 6, price negotiations take skill. Even if you have sales experience, you don't have specialized experience in negotiating a home sale. The buyer's agent does or should have, so they are more likely to succeed in the negotiation, meaning less money in your pocket. Having an experienced selling agent who may have negotiated hundreds of home purchases is the best way to go. We know all the games, we know the warning signs of a nervous or a dishonest buyer, and again, we will provide documentation. Not only are you inexperienced, you're also likely to be emotional about the process, and without your agent to point out where you're being irrational, you're more likely to make poor decisions. Instead of an offended seller making an emotionally charged and inappropriate response to a buyer, an agent will say something more professional, such as, "The seller has declined your initial request, but has made the following counter offer and is excited to make a deal." Now, sellers who go solo also typically aren't familiar with local customs or market conditions. Agents know the pulse of the market and what's driving demand, which gives them an advantage by knowing what terms are worth negotiating for and which terms are worth letting the party win. Number 7, you ignore your home's flaws. Believe it or not, agents are experts in what makes a home sell. They can walk through your home with you and point out changes you should make to attract buyers and get the best offer. They can see the flaws you're oblivious to because they see them every day, or simply because you don't view them as flaws. You've gotten used to them. They can also help you determine which feedback from potential buyers you should act on after you put your home on the market to improve its chances for selling. This way you don't waste time or money on projects that won't impact the sale of the home. Number 8, exposure to legal risks. A lot of legal paperwork is involved in a home sale, and it needs to be completed correctly by an expert. One of the most important items is the seller's disclosures. A seller of real estate has an affirmative duty to disclose any fact that materially affects the value or desirability of the property. A seller can be held liable for fraud, negligence, or breach of contract if they do not disclose properly. The issue of whether a fact is material or not is generally established in the case law of the state in which you live. So unless you're a real estate attorney, your agent probably knows more about disclosure laws than you do. If you fail to disclose a hazard, a nuisance, or a defect, and the buyer comes back to you after having moved in and found a problem, the buyer could potentially sue you. Agents can make mistakes too, but they have professional errors and omissions insurance to protect themselves and give the buyers recourse, such as mediation. So the buyer may not need to pursue the seller for damages. So bottom line, it's a tall task to learn how to sell your home without a realtor. And selling your home will likely be one of the biggest transactions of your life. You can try to do it alone to save money, but hiring an agent has many advantages, so you really should consider it. Agents can get broader exposure for your property, help you negotiate a better deal, dedicate more time to your sale, and prevent your emotions from sabotaging the entire transaction. An agent brings expertise, which very few FSBO sellers have, to a complex transaction with many potential financial and legal pitfalls. As always, if you have any questions about this topic or any others, please reach out. We'd be happy to have a conversation. Thanks, everyone.